The night sky over the valley station looked like spilled salt across black velvet, and Lily knew change had finally arrived. It walked the outer ring with a steady pace and a steady mind, and the air hummed with a soft blue glow from the alien. Forests beyond the fence Linish had trained for danger. She had trained for storms and hardware fires and the sudden silence that comes before something breaks, but she had not trained for the feeling that someone watched her with calm interest. And no hate at all behind the fence. The first envoy waited with her guard and her sisters. Their skin was a pale silver with faint lines, like leaf veins, and their eyes were large and bright like dusk over the ocean, and they moved with slow patience. Like the Tidit's envoy was named Sathari, and her guard were Idril and Mayan, and the younger scholar was Tala, and they had traveled a long curve through cold space to reach a small human station, because old maps said humans changed the course of any river they enter, and old rumors said humans hold fast when others let Galilee paused at the gate and took a breath. The translator on her collar warmed against her throat, then cooled again. She opened the gate and stepped through and kept her hands where all could see themmed. Envoy bowed without lowering her eyes, and Lily bowed in return, and the guard studied. Every shadow in the scholar watched Lily like a student watches. The first spark on a dark wick hearing carried well in the clear air, and so the envoy spoke with a gentle tone, and the translator gave each word a smooth shape that fit the night seek. Shelter and talk and honest tea, the envoy said through the collar's soft hum, and we bring a question that our council cannot settle alone. Lead them into the meeting dome, where soft lamps waited like small moons. The dome smelled of dust and metal and old coffee, and she was glad. She had swept the floor that morning. Megan and Claire joined them, both quiet, both steady, both used to long shifts and little sleep, and they set a pot of tea to steam and seated the envoy, folded her long fingers, and her eyes held a bright curiosity and a careful caution. Observed human cities from orbit, the envoy said, and we read your public science and your fables and your field notes, and we found many things that surprised us, and one thing, it shook the room. It felt a thin thread of tension pull tight across the room. Yet she kept her tone. Evan asked your question, she said, and we will answer in good faith. If we can't, envoy looked at the scholar and let her speak the first study question. The scholar said, is about cycles and winter and spring inside the body of the people of Earth. Your animals have seasons. Your forests have seasons. We have seasons too, and they rule our families, our trade, our art, our peace, and our angers. Lifted a small slate and drew a slow curve, rising and falling like a soft tiddish, said we expected to find the same curve among your people, yet your data says the curve is there and also not there. The data says humans can choose their season. The data says the door is open most days of the year, and my elders gasped when they read Italian Girl gasped humans. You can mate. Year-round translator carried no heat, only a plain sound, but the surprise in the scholar's eyes was bright and honest, like first light through a window. After a long storm, Agan coughed into her sleeve, and Claire looked down to hide a small smile. Lily kept her voice steady and her hands open on the table. Humans are not bound by the same season gates, Lily said. Many parts of our family making can happen any month and any weather. We are a species of roads and change and long harvests yet. It matters how we choose and care and respect each person's wilth. Envoy studied her and then nodded with slow thoughtfulness. Is a thing our council fears and honors at once, she said. We fear speed without wisdom, and we honor freedom with duty. If a door is open often, then a people must build strong rules to guard the doorway. We came to see those rules with our own eyes, and we came to learn how you hold your families together when the tide does not tell you when to stand near and when to stand apart. Megan poured tea, and the steam rose like a small mist between them. The station clock ticked in its case like a clear heartbeat. We said our families are built of words and choices and promises. Our law speaks of care and consent. In age and safety, our teachers speak of patience. Our elders speak of kindness, and our bodies remind us to rest, to eat, to laugh, to listen, and to seek care when things are hard. With new wonder, if you can choose your season, she said, then your stories must be full of doors and paths and crossroads and rescues and the courage to say yes and also the courage to say not today. Claire spoke for the first time, her voice low, and Kindor stories are like that, she said. They teach us that strength is not just fire or steel. It is the soft hand that helps a friend sit down when he is too proud to rest. It is the quiet time. When two people talk and change a plan before a mistake, Grazagel the guard listened, with a still face, but her posture eased, and Mayen set her spear aside near the wall and let her hands. First envoy said, "Our second question is why we came across the cold, and through the dark a storm is moving between. Our worlds, our council grows old, our young ones grow restless. A small faction says we should open the door to any new power, a loud faction says we should close every door and grow hard and silent, and a quiet faction says we should seek anew. Friend who knows how to build rules around a door that is open, often she placed a small crystal on the table. It glowed with a slow inner pulse as if it breathed inside. This crystal is a charter, said the envoy. It is a plan to build a shared school. And a joint watch over the river between our people, it says. We will learn human rules of care and consent and patience in you. We'll learn our art of listening to tides and reading the mood of the forest wind. If we sign this together, the school will rise in 1 year, and the watch will stand in 2, and the charter will light a path for many families and many markets and many songs." Lee looked at the crystal and felt the weight of it. She knew the council back on Earth would study every line. She knew some would shout and some would whisper and some would ask for 10 more committees, but she also felt the sure rightness of a step taken. By steady feet she could see the school in her mind. She could see a courtyard where human kids and alien kids played under the same sun, while careful adults kept the rules like strong ropes that hold a bridge. Said, we cannot sign for all of Earth, but we can host the first trial, and we can write our report with clean eyes, and we can invite our teachers to come and speak, and we can show you how we hold our doors. Envoy bowed again, and the scholar let out a breath that trembled like a leaf in a wind. Then held firm. That night the 4 visitors slept in the guest wing, and Lily walked the ring again and felt the forest watch her with a new patience like it. Waited for a new song it would soon learn, and the morning clouds moved in from the low hills, and rain began soft and clean. The visitors stood under the eaves and raised their hands to feel the fresh cool on their skin. They had read of rain on Earth. But reading is not the same as standing there while it finds you for the next days. The station became a small town of small miracles. Megan taught the scholar how the kitchen crew writes a clear board so everyone reads the plan and no one feels left out. Claire showed the guard the safety drills and how every drill ends with a check-in and a thank you for steady hands. Lily took the envoy to the medbay, where Nora waited with soft blankets and bright screens and the gentle way that made people breathe slower and easier. Nora explained how the station keeps records not to punish but to learn, and how no one is asked to share private details without a good reason, and how people can say stop at any time and be heard at one. Seath envoy listened and asked slow questions, and she looked at the door signs and the color codes and the quiet spaces where a person can sit alone and still be near help. Hone night the power dipped and the dome lights went dim, and a hush fell over the halls. A storm across the ridge had pushed a surge into the lines, and the backup took a breath before it woke. The station faced moments like this a few times each year, and the crew moved with old practice. Lily and Megan and Claire split the checks, and the visitors watched the dance of steady action without panacidral, whispered to Mayen in her own tongue, a river that does not freeze must teach its banks to be strong, and Mayen nodded with a small pride, as if she had found a new proverb she could carry. Hamian, the 5th day, a small ship dropped from orbit with a bright tail like a falling star. Inside were 3 new arrivals from the Envoy Council, a judge, a singer, and a builder. The judge wore a band of woven metal. The singer carried a case. Like a shallow drum, the builder had old scars on her hands and calm eyes that saw weight and balance in every room. Thea met the station crew at noon and walked the grounds and asked to see where children learn. Lily led them to the small classroom in the West Wing, where Katie taught language and numbers and stories to the few kids who lived with their parents on rotation. Katie set out clay and blocks and cards and let everyone sit on the floor like kids again. The singer smiled and tapped. Her caisson hummed a soft line that felt like a path through tall grass, and he told a story. About a bridge that changed with the river, and about two towns that learned to share the bridge. Without fear and without pride that night, the judge sat. With Lily and Megan and Claire and Nora and the envoy and her team, and they wrote notes that braided together like rope.